installation is complete, and I think it accomplished exactly what we hoped it would do. It turned out beautifully. It really represents and enhances this gorgeous Georgian home just the way we had hoped. And I've got Kim Toscano here. Tell me how you did this.
Oh, well, thank you, Linda. Whenever I start with a design, I like to start with the home. We want the garden and the home to be as one.
Yes, an extension of the home itself.
Absolutely. So that beautiful architecture and the symmetry, pulling that out into the garden, that was the first goal.
Right.
Now, we decided to work with the existing beds that were here, which are rectilinear and bordered in a red brick, just a beautiful framework to start with. So.
Yeah, and they enhanced the bones. They already had achieved what you would wanted to do in a design sense, you told me. But it's also an economical consideration when you don't have to start from scratch. If you can work with the existing framework, that's a good thing.
Yeah, if you can reuse materials or even save yourself some labor, that's always great.
So then how did you emphasize that linearity and still get this overall effect?
Really looking at the form and some structure in there, primarily with the hedge, the boxwood hedge. Yeah. And when we first came out, we both...
we screamed, we both love boxwood. Yes, yes.
So, perfect plant for a formal garden because you could trim it, you could line it up, it just really enhances the line.
And it looks good year round.
Absolutely, yeah, that's always important.
Yeah.
And so on that note, some other evergreen structure in here. Structure is kind of the baseline. You want the bones of the garden. So we have some upright evergreens in the hollies, and then a backdrop of yew along the porch.
And I love the way you put the hollies at the corners because they accentuate the verticality of these beautiful Georgian columns. And they also, I think, kind of lend visual weight. Was that intentional to give that kind of visual weight to frame the house?
It frames the house. It gives a little bit of a backdrop without being too heavy, and definitely echoes the columns lovely in the garden.
And again, quintessentially Southern.
Now, the other thing about those three layers, I kind of look at them, of greenery. I have really dark green in the backdrop with the yew, and then the boxwood's a little bit lighter. And so that gives you this visual depth. Even when there's not depth there, it plays with your eye and makes you think it's bigger.
And a little subtle complexity. And the other thing, you told me that you selected this dark green material because it was just a beautiful canvas against which the other plants could play, but also a beautiful contrast to the white color of the brick.
Absolutely. The colors just work so well together.
So how did you inject against all that linearity and that structure that kind of blousy romantic feeling? How did you do that?
With hydrangeas, of course, right?
Oh yes, I'll toast to that.
What's more romantic than hydrangeas?
Nothing.
So we used white wedding hydrangea, and it can take sun, it can take shade, and we have a big mix of it here. Now that's another consideration, is our site that we're working with. And so all the plants in this garden tolerate sun to part shade conditions, and in Oklahoma, I tend to push those a little bit more towards the shady side of things. But we have two sides to the garden, the east and west, and of course they're not going to be identical. So we want to select plants that'll do well on both
And I
parts.
live across the street, and I can attest to that because just facing north, her conditions aren't quite so severe as mine. Her flies are equally as severe on my side of the street. But really being able to have plantings that can handle both east and west and the different, variabilities of an Oklahoma summer and Oklahoma winter, that really is a testament to your good design. So they wanted this to be low maintenance. They're a busy family, and yet it still has lots of color. So how did you do that without planting flat after flat of annuals?
Right. I try to avoid annuals when a client wants low maintenance, because we both know that's not low maintenance.
Right.
Of course, the hydrangeas bring in a lot of energy to the garden. Now, they're white, but they still have that really strong impact.
And even when the flower heads start to dry.
Oh, beautiful.
They're beautiful,
texture. Absolutely. Color-wise, I looked at foliage. So we have nandinas that have this red color that shifts throughout the seasons into a little bit different hues. There's also variegation in the Phaceteria. which is just a fun plant. It also creates a little bit of an accent in the garden with that upright structure.
And it's a real novelty. So if you're someone that really would like to have a plant that nobody else has,
Absolutely.
it is definitely a showstopper. It's got interesting variegation and also some verticality, again, to accentuate the columns. And it also, did you do that intentionally to frame the front door?
Yeah, as you come up, it just gives you that little emphasis that we're arriving. It's almost like a portal, right?
Yes, I love that. I really love it. Makes you feel almost as if you're going through kind of a living gate. It's really beautiful. And the Nandina, the softness of the foliage, the fine texture of it, I think really plays well against the evergreens. So tell me a little bit more about what you were accomplishing with the Encore azaleas that you put in there and how their foliage and their flowers play against and take their part in the overall design.
Right, and you talked about that 4 seasons of color, and so that's one of the places the encores come in.
Yeah.
We get that big flush of spring blooms, but then they keep on giving with reblooms summer and fall. We'll get another good burst in the fall.
Yes.
So the color too are reds and oranges to kind of reflect the Nandina foliage.
Oh yeah, that color echo is one of my favorite things, and I think it really makes it look so sophisticated. I mean, it doesn't look like you just plopped them down in there. There is real intentionality to the design, and what I also love about them is they make great cut flowers.
Beautiful cut flowers, and the hydrangeas too.
Oh, and the hydrangeas too, and so it's both practical, it's really the extension of a garden home and a garden lifestyle, which I know is something that the Southern Living Plant Collection and Southern Living in general is all about.
Yeah.
And I think it just really echoes everything that we believe in about the garden and the home and the family. Well, it is just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful juxtaposition of plants and textures and color. And I also love the way you put a bird bath right over there by the holly where the birds like to...
They like the shelter of the
do.
holly, so they'll go pop in and out of that all day long.
Yeah, so a little garden ornament is an exceptional thing and really draws the eye.
And always a great way to fill a hole, too.
Absolutely, until the plants mature, because this is a new planting.
Yes.
We just installed it this spring, so it is 4 months in the ground, and we'll be happy to show you what it looks like this fall after the plants have had a chance to mature a little bit more. I think you'll even be able to see the brilliance of your design and the brilliance of the Southern Living Plant Collection even more in the fall. The family is thrilled with it. I, as a neighbor across the street, am thrilled with it, and I hope you're thrilled with it too.
I love coming to see a finished design, and like you said, it has time to grow. It has room to mature. So it's also fun to see how it fills in over time.
Yeah,
and
as the
fills
family
its
grows,
space.
so does the landscape.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.